Everybody doing tonight? My name is Corey Moore, aka Corey Stones, and I want to talk to you this evening about my travel tips for Israel. And if you are considering taking a trip to Israel, or you have that as a location on your bucket list, number one, I want to say that I highly encourage you to go there. And it's something that I can promise you, no matter what your background is, no matter what your religious beliefs are, or no matter where you come from, you will be moved by the country of Israel, and it is a once in a lifetime opportunity for many people. For those of y'all that don't know me and haven't followed me, I'm the CEO of J&M Jewelry, and we have a factory located in Ramat Gan, Israel, which is a suburb of Tel Aviv. So since 2005, I've had the opportunity to go to Israel once or twice a year, since then consistently, and I've been to Israel over 20 times. I feel extremely blessed because I know that most people won't even get the opportunity to go once. So I feel that I've been in a position to really shed some light and experiences from my travels to Israel so that hopefully someone who's watching this video will hear what I'm saying and continue to pursue their dream of visiting and traveling there. So number one, the country of Israel is located in the Middle East, right on the Mediterranean Sea. It borders Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, and Egypt. It's a very long, thin country. If you take a look at Israel on a map, you'll see that it's not very wide, and from north to south is going to be its longest point. It has a vast variety of kind of geography within the country. It's got the central part of Israel, which has a lot of luscious beaches and some very rich soil. It's a great place for a lot of farming and things of that nature. When you go up north, you have a lot of the similar properties with rich soil and beautiful landscape, but you start to get into a more mountainous terrain and a terrain that is a much, much higher elevation. So you have the mountains up in the north, you have the beach in the center part, and then down south you have the desert. And matter of fact, you have some of the lowest points in the world as far as the elevation below sea level located in Israel. And so you have a wide variety of the geography and the way that the country is split up. When you're traveling to Israel, the language that's being spoken there is predominantly Hebrew. Hebrew is the language of choice. The other secondary language is English. Most of the places that you will go will usually have English menus or usually have someone who can communicate to you in pretty good English. So that's something that I've experienced going over there in my years. I don't speak Hebrew. I do understand a little bit of Hebrew, and I can speak some basic words, but I don't speak fluently at all. And, having the ability to speak Hebrew is great, but no need to worry there because most of the people you will come in contact with will be able to communicate with you in English just fine. Other parts of the world are visiting Israel as well. So you might find other languages being spoken there, such as Spanish or some other languages like Mandarin, for example. So English and Hebrew are pretty much the languages of choice there. The currency of choice is the shekel. And so you have a comparison between the shekel and whatever dollar you are trying to, or whatever currency you are trying to convert it in. In this case, since I'm located in America and I'm using American dollars to purchase Israeli shekels, then the only real comparison that I'm interested in is the American dollar value compared to the Israeli shekel value. You will definitely want to have some shekels when you're traveling in Israel. Most major American credit cards, most major credit cards in general are accepted internationally. You shouldn't have a problem there. However, you do want to check for any type of foreign currency exchange fees that your credit card might apply that you're not aware of. But overall, having a good variety of both Israeli shekels, your national currency, in this case would be American dollars, and a good credit card for additional purchases where that's applicable is a good idea to have. When you get to the country of Israel, most likely you'll need to visit a currency exchange business or booth. They have those at the airport. If you want to minimize your fees, then get away from the airport and utilize a currency exchange station that's not in the airport. There is a fee associated with that exchange. That's going to be the most convenient way for you to exchange American dollars into Israeli shekels. Most of your banks here in the United States are not going to be able to access Israeli shekels. You can try to give them advance notification, because if you can be successful getting shekels through your bank, that's going to have a lower fee than paying what the fee is going to be at the ticket or the exchange booth in the airport or at another location. So be cognizant about that and plan your trip out well. The airport you're going to fly into is going to be the Ben Gurion International Airport, which is located in Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv is the largest city in Israel, and it's going to be a very metropolitan, Americanized city. You can expect a vast different regions of suburban communities all making up the greater Tel Aviv area. You can also expect to see large infrastructures and big buildings. It's a city that is very industrialized and booming. It is constantly under construction, and that city is one of the fastest growing cities in the world. So you'll fly into Tel Aviv. Most of your main things that you'll be doing will be in Tel Aviv. Your big shopping malls, a lot of your main, tourist attractions that might not be historical are going to be located in Tel Aviv. Like I said, it's going to be a very beach community. It's going to have fabulous shopping, fabulous restaurants in Tel Aviv, fabulous pubs and nightlife. The best nightlife in Israel is in Tel Aviv. That's hands down. So certainly Tel Aviv is kind of where you will enter and exit Israel, if you understand what I mean, because that's where you'll be flying into. If you have, or flying in and out of, if you have the opportunity to book your travel arrangements so that you can schedule some time in Tel Aviv before you venture off to the other parts of the country, I highly suggest that you do that. There's a lot of really neat things to do in Tel Aviv, and it's got a lot of interesting things to see and participate in. Like I said, it is a beach community because it is on the luscious, beautiful Mediterranean. So if you can be there in a peak beach season, for them is anywhere from like May to August or September. And having that time period to go and visit Tel Aviv and in Israel in general is a fabulous time to go there. So looking at some of the other parts of the Israeli country, you've got the northern parts that we mentioned, which is usually referred to as the Golan Heights. In that area, you can find a lot of beautiful wineries. Israel is known for a lot of very good boutique wineries and even some mass production wineries as well. But most of those wineries are located in the Golan Heights region. And it's a very mountainous terrain as you approach up to the Syrian border and Lebanon border. In addition to that, you have the kind of the Jerusalem area that they refer to as, not necessarily the central, area of Israel. That would be kind of Tel Aviv, but a little bit more north, east of Tel Aviv, you're going to have the Jerusalem and Dead Sea area. This is going to be your area where a lot of rich historical facts and locations are in this area. Israel is littered with all of those historical locations, but there's an overabundance of concentration of those kind of historical locations and places and artifacts in the Jerusalem area. And so certainly you're going to want to spend some time there in the Jerusalem area and the surrounding areas. And then kind of going down further south, you have the Negev Desert, which is what it's referred to as, or just the Negev. It's the large location of Israel towards the bottom, which is essentially just an open desert. There's a lot of things down there regarding military training and military bases. There's not a whole lot there as far as tourist attractions. Your main tourist attraction in the Negev, southern part of Israel, is going to be what they refer to as Eilat, which is a southern city sitting right at the tip of Israel on the Red Sea. This is a beautiful resort town that is certainly worth the trip. You can fly from the Ben Gurion International Airport to the Eilat local airport, and that's a pretty short flight and a pretty cheap flight as well. You can book that locally within the country of Israel. If you do want to drive, you can expect it to be about a 6-hour drive from the from the center part of Israel in Tel Aviv to the point of Eilat down at the southern resort town that I mentioned. So certainly there's a lot of places to visit, and you want to plan your trip out well. If you have the opportunity to go for a minimum of 10 days, I would recommend that that's a solid time to go. If you can stay for as much as 2 weeks, I would suggest that, because again, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, most people are only going to be able to visit Israel once in their lifetime. And so getting over there is an expensive plane trip. It's an expensive process because you have to take time away from work, book the flight. You need to look for the best travel deals and the cost of enjoying yourself and food and leisure while you're there, right? It's going to be a trip that you realistically could probably expect to spend $2,000 on, and that would be considered airfare, considered your food and lodging while you're in Israel. Now, if you're going to be participating in a more extravagant lifestyle and wanting to stay at more luxurious accommodations or doing some more extravagant shopping, then you certainly want to take the appropriate funds based on that lifestyle. But with that being said, overall, Israel is an extremely safe place. The security is top-notch. The filtration process to enter that country, whether you are a citizen or a visitor, is some of the most excruciating processes that they have in the world. So the Israelis are very good at security and keeping things very controlled, regardless of what you hear on the news or see. I can tell you that it's a very safe place, and if you're willing to take a trip to New York City, then you certainly will have no problem taking a trip to Israel. So I hope that these are some travel tips that will help you plan your trip out well and kind of push you over the edge of making the jump and really getting a trip scheduled to Israel. I can tell you it will change your life, and you will come back from this trip having a new perspective on many different topics. So again, my name is Corey Moore, aka Corey Stones. If you like what you've heard, if you like what you've seen, click subscribe, be a part of our YouTube community. We're talking about everything from travel to investments and cryptocurrencies to snowboarding, mountain biking, the list goes on. I'm glad that you watched it. Have a great night.